Hello and welcome to I Am Yogi. This is your basics class today with me, Claire. We're going to be working with some heart opening postures today, coming from a place of strength and stability, so we're feeling really secure to be able to open up the front of the body. So you might like to have a blanket or a cushion for a little bit of padding for underneath your knees, or to elevate the hips when we're coming into seated posture. So gather anything you want to work with, and then we're going to make our way to lying down on the mat. So easing your way back, and you can choose to have the legs stretched straight out if that's comfortable, and let the feet flop wide. Or feel free to have feet on the floor, knees bent to the ceiling. So especially if you're feeling a little bit kind of uncomfortable around the lower and the middle back, this is a nice variation to take. You can lift the hips an inch, lengthen the tailbone forwards, and then roll the lower back down again, feeling nice and supported by the floor. An invitation here to bring one hand to rest over the heart center, and maybe the other hand over the navel, connecting to your core. Maybe closing your eyes and give yourself a few moments arriving in the space you've created for your practice today. Let the body feel comfortably soft and heavy, and ease down into the support of the floor beneath you. Take a few moments noticing what's going on for you right now. Sensations in your body, noticing the thoughts running through your mind, maybe a general sense of emotions with you at this time. And remember that all these things can affect our practice, so moving mindfully, and please always feel free to ease off and to rest down at any time if that feels right for you. Let's start to notice the breathing now, being aware of the natural rhythm of your breath. We're going to try and breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. You might notice after a few moments that your breath starts to naturally slow down and becomes a little deeper and smoother. This is encouraging the body to settle and also the mind to settle. So we're going to get less caught up with all those thoughts running around the mind. Every time we notice we're distracted, we're going to gently bring the focus back and notice the very next breath that we take, bringing us back to the present moment. Let's establish the breath that's going to be with us throughout the whole of the practice here. So we're working with a conscious breath, this sense of filling the lungs up with the inhale and encouraging the lungs to empty with the exhale. Let's release the arms down now and let the arms rest alongside the body. If you've got the legs stretched straight out, you might like to now bring the feet on the mat so that your knees are bent towards the ceiling. And being aware of the space that you've got at the top of your mat above your head, so feel free to have a little shuffle down the mat if you need a bit more room. And we're going to start with a gentle movement of the arms in time with the breathing. So with the next inhale, start to lift the arms up to the ceiling, and then keep going, taking the backs of the hands towards the floor above the head. And then with the exhale in reverse, reaching back up to the ceiling and then back down alongside the body. So let's go for a couple more. Inhale to lift up and over. And exhale, swooping back down. One more breath there in your own time. Noticing how that feels for the arms, for the shoulders. And then let the arms come all the way down with the palms pressing down to the floor and checking that the feet are quite close in towards you. So the feet are hip width apart from each other, but heels tucked in quite close. We're going to press the hands and the feet down. And as your next inhale comes around, we're going to try and lift the back away from the floor. So we're lifting the thighs and the hips up towards the ceiling. The chest might be lifting up towards the chin. With the exhale, slowly roll back down through the spine and let the lower back rest all the way to the floor once again. So let's go for 2 more. So lifting with the inhale, and can you really press through the big toes? And releasing with the exhale. So 1 more like that. So we're really starting to open through the front body. And then you can choose if you want to stay resting there, if you'd like to lift and lower a few more rounds, or you could lift with an inhale and then maybe hold that shape and take a few breaths holding your baby bridge pose. So if you want to lift up, if you're choosing to hold it, maybe shuffle the shoulder blades in towards each other behind you, and you might even be able to clasp your hands together, interlace the fingers, pressing the arms down. So you're getting this lovely lift through the front of the body. A sense of lifting through the pelvic floor and trying to draw the navel to the spine. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, giving us a little bit of support from the inside out. Think about engaging the glutes. Steady with the breath. And then if you feel you can go a little bit further, and remember this is optional, you might bring the weight into the left foot and try and lift your right leg up, pointing into the toes. And imagine I've got hold of the right foot and I'm just going to lift you a little higher as you breathe here for 3. And you can feel the left leg working strongly to support you. For 2, keeping the hips high. For 1, gently bring the right foot down, transfer the weight over. And if you're taking the leg up, left side this time, try and lift up lightly and find your breath. For 3. For 2, hips high. For 1, and then let's bring that left foot down, ease the arms out of the way and go gently with an exhale to roll down through the spine. And then hopefully that feels quite nice as the back comes all the way down to the floor. Take a breath or 2 there. Let the back come into a neutral position. And then our next posture will be really nice as a counter pose, and it's going to work into the legs, the hips and the glutes as well. So keeping the feet down, knees to the ceiling, and then we're taking the focus over to the right side. We're going to lift the right foot up and guide the right foot over and across. So you're resting your right ankle on the front of the left thigh. So you could push through the heel on that lifted foot so your toes point up to the ceiling, and that will help to protect around the knee a little bit. Now feel free to stay here and move the right knee forwards away from you. If you feel happy to go further, you could lift the left foot off the floor, draw the left leg in, and then maybe take the hands and reach around the back of your left thigh. So left hand to the outside, right hand to the inside. You might be able to clasp your hands together and use your arms to draw that left leg closer in. Can you find some space for your breath here? The head, the shoulders easing down. And finding your working edge so you can feel a nice stretch on this right side, really working into the glutes, working into the hip, and the lower back gently pressing into the floor. A couple more breaths there if you can. Can we keep the right leg crossing over? Release the hands, so you're bringing the left foot back down to the floor, but with the right leg still crossing over. Be aware of the space you've got to your sides, and you could stretch the arms straight out, shoulder height, or if you prefer, bend at the elbows to create your little cactus arms. And we're going to come into a nice little twisting pose here. So with your next exhale, can you start to take the sole of that right foot, that lifted foot, down towards the floor on the left side. So don't worry if it doesn't get all the way to the floor, just wherever you can go. So your left hip is staying down and the right hip is starting to lift. You can look up to the ceiling or go really carefully. You might even turn the head to look to the right and try and take a lovely deep inhale into all the space that you've got there. And as you exhale, feel like you're releasing a little deeper into that twist. And again, breathing in and breathing out. One more. Breathing in and breathing out. Lovely. Let the head come back to the center if you turned. Make the core nice and strong and carefully bring the legs back to the center. Arms can rest down and we can place the right foot down to the floor. So let's take those two little postures on the other side. So we're going to bring the left foot over and across, and feel free to stay there, encouraging the left knee forwards and away from you. Or you can try and lift your right foot off the floor. And again, maybe you're threading the hands through to hold the back of your right leg this time. So left hand to the inside, right hand to the outside, maybe interlace the fingers. And going gently, drawing the right leg closer in towards you. Keep the head and the shoulders releasing down. And maybe with your out breath, you might be able to go a little bit deeper into that stretch. Notice how it feels for the lower and the middle back pressing to the floor, as well as warming things up on that left side, the thigh, the hip, the glutes. Just a couple more breaths if you can. And we'll keep that left leg crossing over. We'll release the hands away and bring the right foot down so we can find our little twisting pose on the other side. So taking the arm option that suits you here. And with the exhale, let's take the sole of that left foot down towards the floor on the right side so you can feel like you're rolling over slightly. And then feel the shoulders gently melting back down to the floor, and you can stay looking up to the ceiling or maybe turn carefully to look towards your left side. And finding space for 3 deep breaths, going a little deeper into the rotation with each exhale. So we're just gently starting to warm all the way up through the spine, noticing how the body's feeling. Now from here, what we're going to do is actually come up to sitting. So you could bring the head back to the center if you turn the head, and then you could bring your left hand down towards the floor in front of the chest and press the floor away and gently make your way up to sitting from there. And from this position, you could find Sukhasana with your legs crossed, or feel free to work with half lotus or lotus if it's in your practice. If you've got anything going on with knees and ankles and this isn't comfortable, by all means stretch the legs out in front at any point. We're going for a nice length through the spine, maybe a little shoulder roll to soften the shoulders back and down. And finding those bandhas, the energy seals, to give us that support again. So lifting through the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. And think just below your navel, drawing into the spine and up to the heart, Uddiyana Bandha. And you might also get a sense of lifting through the lower back as well. Can we bring the hands to the heart center, bring the left and the right together, and you could lift your chest up towards the thumbs. Take a couple of breaths here. Feeling nice and stable, all the parts of the body making contact with the floor and lifting lightly through the spine. So let's warm up the arms, the shoulders, and open the chest a little bit more from here. So keeping the palms pressed, you could turn your fingers forwards. And inhale, you could reach out in front. Exhale, swoop the arms back and maybe keep the palms open so you're squeezing the shoulder blades in the back body. The next inhale, we could reach out and up, maybe palms together above the head. And then exhale, slide all the way back down through the midline. I'm going to do that a couple more times. So inhale, reaching forwards. Exhale, swooping the arms back. Inhale, stretch up through the sides. And exhale. Lovely. Let's go for one more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now take the arms wide out to the sides and all the way up once again. Maybe the palms are connecting and we're going to try and keep the arms lifted. You could bend at the elbows and feel like you're chopping the hands back as though you're bringing the thumbs to the base of the neck. Try and lift the elbows up and in towards each other, and you're looking forwards towards the horizon rather than pushing the head down if you can. Notice how the chest is lovely and open, opening the rib cage, and see if you can take 3 more deep breaths here. You might think about breathing to the very tops of the lungs, filling them up as much as you can. And then emptying the lungs as much as possible as you breathe out. So find a little challenge. Draw the navel in. One more breath if you can. And we could take the arms up with the next inhale and then let the arms come all the way down with the exhale. So notice how that feels. You can bring a little bit of movement into the arms and the shoulders if you need to. Maybe even rotate the wrists and get some energy right through to the fingertips. So feel free to stay in the leg position that you've got already going on, or you could bring the leg in front and tuck it behind. So you've just changed the way you've got your legs crossed, just noticing any changes there. Hands could come to the waist or to the hips, and we're going to work into our seated cat-cow pose. So with the next inhale, can you feel like you're lifting the chest forwards and rolling the shoulders back, so you're creating more space from your navel all the way up and over the chest, and you might look up at the end. With the exhale, then we lengthen the tailbone down, we really draw navel to spine, and rounding and broadening across the shoulders, and the chin might come in. Okay, so showing you that from the side. So inhale to lift the chest, draw the shoulders back, and then exhale, gently rounding, navel in. So can you try 3 more rounds here in your own time? Flowing smoothly with the breath. We're tilting forwards on the pelvis with the inhale. And then we're gently rocking back on the pelvis with the exhale. And let's maybe go for one more. And at the end of the next out breath, we can find our way back to neutral. So sitting comfortably tall once again, releasing the hands and simply observing whatever's going on for you in this moment. From here, we're going to come forwards onto hands and knees. So you could either roll forwards and uncross the ankles behind you, or release the feet and swoop the legs around. And we're going to come into a modified plank pose from here to really connect to our core. So can you bring the elbows and the forearms down? So your elbows are pretty much underneath the shoulders with the forearms and the hands out in front. Imagine you're rounding your back here. So you're drawing the tummy in, and you could imagine my hand is hovering above your back and you're gently trying to press up into my hand and holding that shape there. Let's stretch one leg out behind and tuck the toes under so the foot is in contact with the floor. And then can you try and lift the other leg out as well? And you'll find that the hips might be lifted a little bit to start with. So we can try and slide the shoulders forward so we straighten out without dipping the tummy down. So think navel in and up, looking slightly forwards and finding your breath. For 3, can we try and soften the shoulders? For 2, for 1. Go gently, let's bring the knees down and then simply come to lie on the front of your body, easing down to the floor. Let's stretch the arms back and maybe press the backs of the hands down. So you could have feet together or slightly apart, and we're still trying to draw the tummy in even though we're lying on the front of the body. Okay, so with the next inhale, let's start to lift the head and the chest gently, rolling the shoulders back and down, and maybe press the hands into the floor. And as you exhale, slowly coming back down. So breathing in to lift, shoulders back and down, and breathing out to lower. So let's try one more. Remember, we're trying to draw the tummy in and lift through the pelvic floor. And lower. Okay, so how's that feeling for you? You're more than welcome to take a rest here. Maybe hands forwards and rest the forehead down. You're more than welcome to repeat what we just did. Or if you feel comfortable with the back, we could bring the legs into it as well. Okay, so take your option. Next inhale, if you're lifting the head and the chest, roll the shoulders back, and maybe lifting the legs as well, trying to keep the legs straight. And then exhale to ease back down. So wherever you're working, 2 more steady breaths. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's try one more. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, well done. Then let's bring the hands forward, one hand on top of the other, so the elbows out wide. Maybe rest the forehead down. And what might be nice, if you can turn the big toes in towards each other and let the heels drop wide, and even take a gentle little rock in the hips. And that can be really nice to release out the lower back. Now we're going to try that posture again. Come into our locus, Salabhasana, and you're welcome to rest down and skip it if you feel you need to. You can lift and lower with the breath, so we keep a little flow, or we could lift and try and hold it for either 3 or 5 breaths. Okay, so once you've done 3 breaths, you're welcome to rest down, or I'll count us through 5 full breaths if you want to try. So let's bring the hands back once more. You can start with the backs of the hands down to the floor as we did before, and the toes pointing back. Take an inhale if you're lifting the head and the chest, and roll the shoulders back. And then maybe lift the legs as well. And breathing here for 1. You can even try and lift the hands up now and reach behind you. 2. You might try and clasp the hands, interlace the fingers. 3. Use the muscles of the eyes to gently look up. 4. So we're not cricking the neck. 5. And gently releasing all the way down. Let's bring the hands now underneath the shoulders, palms down, so our elbows are bent like little grasshopper wings. And we're going to press the floor away and try and sit back to the heels as a little counter pose. So you can choose if you want knees together or knees apart, and allow the body to gently drape forwards over the thighs. You might drop the elbows down. You can even bring the arms alongside the body if that's more comfortable. And maybe take about 3 breaths there, so we can breathe into this space in the back body, taking a little counter pose. If you reach the arms back, see if you can gently extend them forwards again. Let's come back up onto hands and knees, and we'll find our downward dog as a nice little counter pose again to lengthen through the spine. So knees and feet hip width apart, we're going to tuck our toes under and then lift the hips lightly. Let the head release down, and maybe you're looking to the back of the mat between your feet. It might be nice if you want to walk it out here, bending one knee and then the other knee, pressing through one heel and then the other heel. We're going to try and spread the fingers and flatten the hands down. And then let's see if we can lift both the heels up. So with the inhale, come right up onto tiptoes. It's like you're really lifting your hips high and the shoulders move forwards over the hands. With the exhale, push the hips back, stretching the heels towards the floor, and maybe feel like you're lifting the tailbone as well at the end. So inhale, can you lift the heels high? Really draw the navel in, shoulders move forwards. And exhale to lengthen the chest back and try and lift the tailbone. Let's go for one more. Inhale and exhale. Lovely. Now you can stay in downward dog and maybe lifting the right leg there, so you're in your leg lift, or you're more than welcome to soften your knees down from a tabletop position and then lift your right leg from there. So we're going to see if we can come through to a lunge position. Start to bend the right knee and bring the thigh in towards the chest. Push the floor away and see if you can place your right foot through to your hands. Let the left knee soften down, and feel free if you want to use a little bit of padding for that back knee. So you can use a blanket or a cushion if you've got one handy, or you can fold over your mat if you prefer. So let's lift up and find our balance here. Bring the hands to rest on that right thigh. So to help with your balance, you can think about the outer edges of the thighs, drawing in towards your midline, but without the legs actually moving. So think from an energetic point of view, our legs are really strong, we're engaging the glutes. And let's maybe bring the hands back to the heart center once more. Now please feel free to stay here, enjoy a nice, steady breath. If you want to, we can start to bring some arm movement into it. So with the inhale, we could let the arms go wide to the sides and swoop up above the head, palms together. And then exhale, we could let the hands come all the way down through the midline. So inhale, take the arms out and up. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. So once more to take the arms up, to maybe hold this pose. So you could interlace the fingers, clasp the hands together. See if you can turn the palms up and really lift up. The rib cage is lifting away from the pelvis, and into that space you might then very gently take the arms and the shoulders back. You can even carefully start to look up for 3, for 2, for 1. Now let's go really carefully as we start to release. We can fold forwards and bring the hands down to the floor, either side of the front foot, and take a moment here as a natural little counter pose. If you want to try and kick your left heel in, notice how that feels over the front of the thigh and over the knee. If you want to keep the heel kicking in, we can then bring the left hand to the floor for a little bit of support and try and sweep the right hand behind, and maybe we're finding the foot behind us, whatever it is. And then you can draw the heel in towards you and feel like you're gently turning the chest maybe to the right side. If kicking the heel in isn't working for you here, if you want to rest it down, then maybe bring the right hand to rest on the right thigh and simply turning the chest to the right side into a gentle little twist. See if you can take 2 more breaths there. Go gently releasing the foot and then turning the chest down. We can bring the hands down to the mat. So you could either tuck the back toes under, lift the left knee, and then think hips nice and high into downward dog, or you can gently come back into half dog, the knees together, sitting to the heels, and let the arms stretch out in front. Take a breath. Let it all kind of gently melt away from that side before we work into the other side. So you can be in downward dog and you can lift your left leg up, or you can come down onto hands and knees and then lift the left leg from there as a modification. And then let's carefully sweep the left foot through. So left thigh in towards the chest, gently rounding the back, push the floor away, and try and place the left foot through towards the hands. So So back knee gently coming down to the floor. And again, feel free if you want a little bit of padding underneath your back knee. So we're thinking about the knee being over the heel. So wiggle the foot further forwards if you feel like the knee's creeping forwards over the toes. And then let's once again try and lift up and find our balance here in our lunge. So feel steady, the legs engaged, glutes working. And then maybe hands to the heart center once again. Find some steadiness, some stillness here, being with the breath. Or we might bring some arm movement into it once again. So inhale, you could reach up this time. And then exhale, let the elbows go wide, drawing a big circle. And then let the hands come back to the heart center. So inhale to reach up. And exhale. So let's try one more. So inhale, reaching. Exhale, can you now bring the arms all the way down and behind you and maybe clasp the hands together there, interlace the fingers and feel like you're stretching your hands towards your back heel. So you can feel the chest opening and the shoulder blades squeezing together. Breathing steadily for 3, feeling that space you're creating in the front of the body. For 2, for 1. And go really carefully again, releasing. And we could gently fold forwards, bring the hands to the floor as a little counter pose. So let's keep the right hand down. Left hand can rest on the left thigh if you want to turn the chest to the left side and maybe stay there. Or you can kick your right heel in and just notice how that feels on this side for you. And then you've got the option, if you'd like to hold the heel in, swoop the left arm around, try and find the foot behind you and gently bring the heel in towards you. So opening the chest, lifting the left shoulder and see if you can find 3 steady breaths there. Increasing that work over the front of the right thigh, working into the hip flexors and stretching out the quads a little bit more. And we'll go really carefully releasing the back foot down, coming out of that little twist. And from here, can we bring both knees back, coming back onto our tabletop position. Now feel free if you still want padding underneath your knees there as we work into our melting heart posture. So we're thinking about the knees staying underneath the hips. So what we're not doing is sitting back towards the heels this time. We're going to try and keep the hips and the bum lifted. But what you can do is take your arms further forwards. And with the hips still high, this sense of melting the chest down towards the floor so we can feel the arms working a bit more, the shoulders, the upper back. If you want to drop the elbows down, please do, or feel free to keep the arms a little bit more active. And feel like you're bringing the chest and maybe even the chin down towards the floor. Finding a nice deep breath there. Two more breaths, going carefully, feeling the work and directing the breath to any parts of the body that you feel are really kind of getting involved right now. Then we can push the floor away, start to lift up, bring the hands back in, and let's find our downward dog once again. So tucking the toes under, lifting the hips, let the head release down, and find this lovely length through the sides of the torso. Really stretch the hips back. And we're going to bring the feet through towards the hands. So softening the knees, look forwards, and you can step or lunge or even float your feet forwards if it's in your practice. Coming towards the front of the mat and have the feet about hip width apart. You might take a little half forward fold with an inhale, so lifting the chest forwards, and hands can be on the shins there if that helps. And then exhale, gently melt down. So bringing the chest down to the front of the thighs. Let the head hang nice and heavy. Find length through the back of the neck. And if you want to there, you can reach across and hold opposite elbows. And feel like the weight of the arms is helping you to tilt ever so slightly further forwards.
So chest and thighs making contact. That might mean that you keep your knees nicely bent there. If you're happy to work deeper, think about engaging the front of the thighs. Think about the outer hips gently lifting up. So we can feel a little bit more work now on the backs of the legs, working into our hamstrings, but really releasing and lengthening the spine down. Can you keep the arms framing the head for me? So think about the biceps being glued to the ears. And we're going to bend the knees now and imagine we're sitting back into a little chair behind us. So start to lower the hips, bending the knees. Can you feel that the weight really moves into the heels of the feet? And then start to peel the chest away from the thighs with the arms still framing the head. So your elbows end up lifting up towards the ceiling. Your chest is nice and open. Let's stay low in the hips for 3. Can you sit a little lower? Draw the tummy in. For 2. With a smile, 1 more breath. For 1. And then really powerful legs come all the way up. And let's bring the arms down with the exhale. So you might take a moment there just to walk it out a little bit. Feel free to give yourself a little shoulder roll. Release the arms. So we're going to find our mountain pose, Tadasana, but we're going to turn to face to the side. So if you want to step wide, so you're taking your right foot out. Oh, sorry, we're going to do Tadasana, are we? So sorry, turn to the side, but bring the feet in hip width apart, but still facing to the side of the mat. So feet just hip width apart. Let the arms rest down alongside the body and take a moment there just to find your mountain pose. Feel the stability through the feet, feel the legs strong and bandhas nice and strong. So we're going to do a little side stretch from here. So with the inhale, can you lift the arms out and up and maybe cross the thumbs above the head into our butterfly grip and spread the fingers wide. Then exhale, let's go over to the right side. So you're stretching your left hip over to the left side. And then with the inhale, reach nice and tall, lift out of the waist. And then exhale over to the other side. Inhale, reaching up tall. With the exhale, let the arms go out shoulder height. And now let's step the feet wider apart. Have the outer edges of the feet fairly parallel, and we're setting ourselves up nicely to find our warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So having the left toes in slightly, and then swivel on the right heel, so your right toes are all the way around towards the shorter edge of your mat, but we're still trying to have the hips and the chest nice and open. And inhale to stand a little bit taller, and exhale, let's bend that right leg into our lunge. So remember, we're keeping the knee over the heel, so you might shuffle your feet even further apart if you want to go lower down. Absolutely fine to rest hands to the waist if you need to give the arms a little breather. Otherwise, looking towards the middle finger of your right hand. And feel really strong and steady in your warrior pose for 3. Feel the strength of your back leg for 2. For 1. Now can we keep the feet in this same position, and as you inhale, straighten out the right leg and swoop the arms up above the head, so maybe the palms come together above the head. And then exhale, bend the knee and let the arms go out wide, shoulder height. So 2 more like that. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. 1 more. Inhale and exhale. Now holding it here for me, and let's find our reverse warrior. So let the left hand gently rest onto that back leg. And I want you to really fire up this left leg for me. So imagine you're pressing the left leg into your hand really strongly. Take the right arm up, turn the palm in, and gently reach over while still bending your right knee for 3. Feel that space in the right side of the rib cage. For 2. Stay with a nice strong breath. For 1. Bandhas strong. Let's release the arms, and can you keep going now? Windmill the arms all the way up and over, and bring the hands down to frame your right foot. Now you might choose to come into downward dog and stay there for a few breaths. Or you can swoop the right foot back and find your plank pose. Either soften the knees or take chaturanga if you wish. Bend the elbows to lower down. Inhale into a little cobra or an upward dog. And then exhale, we can all join up together in our downward dog. Soften the knees, look to your hands. Inhale, bring the feet through towards the hands. Lift the chest as you arrive. Exhale, melt down over the thighs. Inhale, can we come all the way up? Push the floor away, reach the arms up, palms together. And exhale, let the arms rest down any way that feels right for you. So now we're going to step the left foot out, feet nice and wide, coming back into our warrior two, but on the other side. So right toes in slightly, swivel on the left heel, so left toes to the front. And again, we can swoop the arms out. So imagine you're standing a little bit taller with the inhale, and then finding our lunge on that left leg with the exhale. And we're keeping the bent knee over the center of the foot, and get yourself comfortable if you want to go a little bit lower. Finding your breath, feeling strong. For 3. Can we soften the shoulders even though the arms are working? For 2. For 1. So let's keep the feet in the same position. The feet don't need to move. And with the inhale, we're going to straighten out the left leg, lift the arms up, maybe palms together. And then exhale, find the lunge and reach out wide. Okay, lovely. Let's go for 2 more. So inhale to push the floor away. And exhale. 1 more. Keeping the left leg nice and deeply bent. Swoop the right hand down and press the right leg into the hand. Left arm can reach up to the ceiling as we turn the palm in. Feel tall with the inhale and then gently reaching over into our reverse warrior as we breathe here for 3 and really power up this back leg strongly. 2, press through the little toe edge of that right foot. And 1. Gently release the arms. Let's swoop the arms all the way up and over, coming all the way down. And do feel free to take your downward dog and hold it there. Or come back into your plank and slowly lower. Inhale, little upward dog or cobra. Exhale to downward dog. Let's bring the feet through to the hands. Lift the chest as you arrive. Exhale to fold down. Inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, let the arms rest down alongside the body. Okay, lovely. Taking a moment there. So we've prepared the legs. We've worked into the legs strongly. We've got our core connection. And we've really stretched and opened through the front of the body. Let's explore a little balance here and see if we can try our dancer pose. Now, if you've got some wall space near you, you're more than welcome to use the wall. You could have your left hand by the wall. Otherwise, bring in left hand to the waist. Take the weight into the left foot and then see if you can kick your right heel in towards you. To start with, you might think about the hips pushing forwards and then actively pushing the foot into the hand so we create a little bit more space over the front of this right thigh. A fixed point to stay looking at on the floor, and then working here, this could be your posture today. If you're happy to take maybe the left arm up with the inhale, you could then start to hinge forwards from the hips with the exhale, so it feels a bit like a forward fold to begin with. And then let's really activate through this lifted leg, pushing the right foot into the hand, start to lift and open the chest. 3 deep breaths there. Keep trying to work into it. Feel the strength of that standing leg. Can we keep the foot lifted and carefully start to release, and then maybe bring the right thigh in towards the chest, give it a little squeeze, and then place the right foot down. Okay, so both feet back to the floor. We're feeling nice and steady again. Let's try it on the other side. So you might have right hand to the wall or right hand to the waist. And then let's kick the left heel in. See how you go on this side. So don't worry if you go a bit wobbly, just coming back into it when you can. So breathing and bandhas, finding your drishti, your gaze point, and feel free to stay here. Or maybe take the right arm up with an inhale, start to hinge forwards with the exhale. And then try and imagine you're straightening your left leg, even though you've got hold of the foot, pushing the heel away, and find 3 steady breaths. Extra focus, the left hip is trying to roll down, so our hips stay fairly level. Try and stay with it, keep the foot lifted if you can. Let's start to gently release and see if you can bring the left thigh all the way up and in towards the chest. Again, give it a little squeeze and exhale, placing the foot down. Okay, well done. So again, both feet to the floor, so we're feeling nice and steady and balanced. So let's make our way to lying down on the front of the body on the mat once again, so facing towards the front. And let's take an inhale and stretch the arms up. Exhale to fold forwards and down. Inhale to lift the chest. We're going to come back into our plank, but then we could softly bring the knees down and then bend the elbows to lower all the way down to the floor. So taking a few breaths here, notice what's going on for you at this point. You can have hands forwards and rest the head down. And maybe kicking one heel in behind you, and then swap it over to the other leg, trying to kick the heel in towards the bum and just go from one side to the other. Just getting a general feel here for what's going on over the front of the thighs and the knees. And then you could try and bring both heels in. We're thinking about the knees being about hip width apart, so not too wide apart. And you can either then reach the hands back and rest the hands to the lower back, or if you can reach, you might go all the way back and try and find your feet. We're going to try 2 rounds of this. So if you want to do one leg and bring the other arm in front, we've got the chance to do the second side if you prefer. So with an inhale, let's lift the head and the chest and roll the shoulders back, and maybe stay there. If you want to then activate through the legs, like we were doing with our dancer pose, try and push the heel or heels away for 3. So the thighs might begin to lift. For 2, very gently looking up. For 1, lovely, carefully coming all the way down. So if you did one side, we can try and swap it over and do the other side. If you did both legs, then either go for a second set or feel free to lie down and chill out for a few breaths. So inhale, maybe lift the head, the chest, roll the shoulders back. Feel free to stay there. Or activate through the heel or the heels, pushing the feet away. For 3, find space for the breath. For 2. For 1. Okay, lovely. Gently, gently coming all the way down. Let's bring the hands again down to the floor. Palms down underneath the shoulders with the elbows bent. And we're going to press up away from the mat and sit back towards the heels. And again, your choice if you want to have knees together or knees apart. With the knees together, you're allowing the front of the body to gently roll over. So you're more in a forward fold, so it's a nice counter pose. If you've got toes together and knees apart, you might be working more still with a little chest opening. So explore and go with what feels right for you. Maybe the chin is in, and maybe the arms resting back alongside the body. So allowing things to settle here. And we'll start to carefully curl up through the spine, slowly, slowly coming up to a seated position. So as we come up, we're naturally coming through kneeling, but we're going to swoop the legs out in front. So maybe take the hips to the side, take the legs forwards. And let's take a gentle forward fold here. So maybe bring the soles of the feet together so the knees are wide, but you can have a longer diamond shape if you want to. So you don't have to have the heels tucked all the way in. You can take the feet further forwards if you wish. And as you breathe in, feel like you're lifting the chest. And as you breathe out, let yourself gently curl forwards so we can allow the back to be rounded. We can feel nice and soft here, tucking the chin in. And thinking about all this space that we have now to breathe into the back body. Allowing each exhale to soften us into the posture a little bit more without forcing anything. And let's take a couple more breaths here. And we'll go nice and slowly to start to release, curling up through the spine once again. So we come up to sitting, just taking your time to get there. And we'll place the feet down and maybe bring the thighs in towards the chest and wrap the arms around. And maybe you want to stay there. You can even drop the chin down, the head down, and just curl up a little bit and allow the back to be nice and round. So depending on how things feel for you here, you can stay here for a couple of breaths, or we can take a nice little twisting pose to ease out the spine after our kind of heart opening postures, our little back bends that we've worked with today. So if you want to come into the twist, we're going to keep the thighs towards the chest, maybe taking the left arm around to hug the legs in and gently bring the right shoulder back. So you're sliding your chest over towards the right side and the hand could come to the floor behind you as a little bit of support. Breathing in to feel like you're lifting the chest forwards, and as you breathe out, just gently twisting a little deeper to the right side. And maybe take 2 or 3 more breaths here, feeling the rotation a little bit higher up through the spine. And if you wish, you can even turn to look over your back shoulder, just noticing how the neck feels. You might look forwards with the next inhale, and then exhale, bring the right arm around, and let's swap that over to the other side. So feel tall with the inhale, so you're bringing the chest forwards, and then exhale, sliding the chest over to the left. So you're peeling your left shoulder back. Not too much weight in that back hand, and see if you can enjoy 2 or 3 more breaths here. We're going to see if we can soften the shoulders down, and maybe we're looking over that back shoulder. Looking forwards again with the inhale, and then gently facing forwards with the exhale. So from here, have a little bit of space behind you, and we're going to ease our way back into our final posture. So feel free to gather anything you might want here to take your relaxation. You could have feet to the floor, knees to the ceiling, and let's ease down nice and carefully, rolling down through the lower back, the middle back, the shoulders. Let the head rest down. And if there's any little movement that you feel you'd like to do here before you settle into stillness, then please feel free to take it. If you want to bring the knees in and take a little rock from side to side. Anything that feels right for you. And taking the options that you had at the start of the practice, stretching the legs straight out, or maybe feet to the floor, knees to the ceiling. You might even take the feet wider and drop the knees gently in towards each other, creating more space in the lower back if you wish. So feel the body gently settling down. Can you take the next inhale right up towards the heart space? And then exhale, feeling the breath traveling down the arms, through to the hands and the fingertips, releasing any tension. And then inhale right to the navel, to the belly. And then exhale, imagine the breath down the legs, right through to the feet and the toes. Again, just releasing down. Let your body feel comfortably soft and heavy. Do please feel free to stay in your relaxation for a good few more minutes here to really let your body rest and recover, to absorb all the benefits from your practice. Thank you very much for sharing the practice, for sharing your time and your energy today. Namaste.